Hello, this is VU3ZAG. Today, we'll explore a simple and effective method to program the Quansheng UV-K6 radio transceiver using a homemade programming cable and a USB serial module. For this demonstration, I have opted the IJV 2.9R5 version firmware, a popular choice that doesn't require hardware modification, which I'll address in the next stage. This video will solely focus on flashing the firmware. Given the firmware's extensive features, I plan to create a separate video covering its operational aspects. It's worth noting that the radio offers two interface options, a Type-C USB and twin audio sockets. However, the USB port is solely for charging purposes, and programming necessitates the use of twin audio sockets similar to Belfang radios. For communication with the PC, I'll utilize a CH340 based USB to serial module alongside the homemade programming cable. Refer to the previous videos for detailed information on crafting of this cable. The link is provided in the description. Let's proceed by quickly connecting the radio with the programming cable. The connections are as follows. The common ground of the radio to the ground of the serial module, RX to TX and TX to RX respectively. I'll use these crocodile clip cables for facilitating the connections. After this cable with such intricate mesh connections, it's practically a puzzle. It's a marvel of engineering, really. Somehow still working just fine. An excellent documentation page linked in the description. Throughout the flashing process, we'll adhere closely to the instructions provided in this resource. Firstly, we'll need to download the firmware and the necessary files required for flashing. The download link is located on the right side of the page. Once downloaded, extract the files and organize them into a folder. Along these files, you will find the firmware file in binary format and another file, a Python script that will utilize when interacting with the radio in CHIRP software. Next, we will download the K5Prog application, which we will be using for flashing the firmware acquired in the previous steps. As outlined in the documentation and as a part of proactive approach, it's imperative to take a backup and calibration and original configuration before proceeding with the upgrade. Since I don't possess a commercial programming cable, I have been utilizing a CH340 based USB serial programming setup. I have already pre-installed the necessary drivers on my PC to support the configuration, but you may need to install the required drivers for your programming cable as necessary. Additionally, the official website of UV-K6 hosts the factory firmware, which I have downloaded and kept separately for reference. Let's dive into action. Keep the radio connected to the PC via serial to USB. First, retrieve the serial port details from the device manager of Windows. Once you have obtained the common port details, launch the K5Prog application. From the drop-down menu, select the serial port and leave the other settings unchanged. Let's see what happens if we attempt to read the configuration without turning on the radio. As expected, the application indicates that the radio isn't detected. Now, turn on the radio by rotating the volume knob and retry. Read the configuration and save it in a known location. Next, read the calibration and save it. Moving on to CHIRP, you will notice that the UV-K6 radio device isn't detected or mentioned in the drop-down menu. To make it visible, you might need to do some additional steps. First of all, you need to enable the developer option under the Help tab. After enabling this option, close and reopen the CHIRP application. Now, load the Python file from the firmware folder using the Load menu under the File tab. Now you will be able to see the UV-K6 device in the list. Select the device, read its contents, take a backup and save the file. Now for the crucial step, flashing the firmware. Turn off the radio, then turn it on again by pressing the PTT button. The flashlight white LED will remain on, indicating that your radio is in firmware update mode. In K5Prog, select the COM port, click on the right firmware button and specify the path of the binary file in the firmware folder. The flashing process will take a moment, during which the white flash LED will blink. Once completed, the radio will boot up if all went well. The final step is to perform an automatic VFO reset. For that, turn off the radio, then turn it on again by pressing PTT and exit button simultaneously. Voila! The firmware update is successfully completed. Now, you can customize the menu options to your preference. Stay tuned for more videos as I'll be covering the operational aspects in another video.